All right, guys, welcome back. Today we're going to talk about some of the most common mistakes that beginners make when it comes to bet sizing. So, like broadly speaking, I would say the most common mistakes that beginners make are betting too big when they're out of position and betting too small when they're in position, particularly on the river. Okay, so what we're going to do to kind of illustrate my point a little bit is I'm just going to share with you a toy game that I use in the River Simplifications bundle. This is just going to be, it's just one example. There's lots of these in that if you guys want more of this. But it's really simple. It might look a little bit intimidating at first if you've never seen this program, but it's going to be really easy to use once we get rolling. So the first thing is that the two ranges in play are identical. They're symmetrical ranges. Okay, so we've got aces through fours with red. So every single combo is, aces through fours with black. Every single combo here is black. Up against aces through fours red. And so every single one of these is red. So there's no blockers, right? One guy has, clubs and spades. The other guy has hearts and diamonds. They never have blocking effects. They never have interactions with their range. The board is deuce, 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 3-3. We're on the river, and we have a 2-to-1 stack to pot ratio. So there's 100 in the middle, and there's 200 in our stack. Okay, and we can bet whatever sizing choice we want. Okay, that's all this means. We can bet whatever sizing choice we want. We can raise to whatever sizing choice we want, really. So we've got lots of options available to us, and that's it. Okay, so we've got two very similar ranges. The important thing is just remember that we have aces through fours. Okay, now, what bet size do you think the out-of-position player should choose the most often? What bet size do you think the out-of-position player should choose never? Right? These are some things that you should think about. You should pause the video and just, think about this. What would you do if you had pocket aces? Would you jam for 2x pot here? What bet size would you choose? What if you had pocket fours? Okay. What do you think is the most commonly bet hand in the range? What hand gets bet the most often? Okay, so an important question. What hand do you think gets bet the most often? Okay, what value bet gets bet the most often? Okay, what value bet gets bet the most often? Okay, so some of these can be counterintuitive for people that, for some of you, it would be really cool if you guys posted in the comments with those answers. I think that'd be great. So you guys can post in the comments with the answers to these questions. What hand gets bet the most often? What value bet gets bet the most often? What bet size do you choose the most often? Which bet sizes never get chosen? Right? All of these questions. You can answer these in the comments. Let me know what you guys think. Okay, so let's go ahead and take a look at some answers. So the first things first. Jacks and tens are the value bets that get bet the most often. Okay, and they bet quite small. You can see that jamming never gets chosen. So we never choose this 2x pot shove. We don't actually want to bet this big. Okay, and this happens because the opponent has a fully weighted pocket aces as well, and you are going to get called by the nuts very often if you jam for this bet size. And so if we bet 2x pot, our opponent has to call with 1/3 of their range that beats bluffs, and that's just going to be pocket aces with a lot of pocket kings and then mixed weights on pretty much everything else. Okay. So there are better ways essentially to get value. Aces and kings also have to consider other bet sizes and the different lines. But the out of position player has to manage check as well. So you have equity realization across various parts of the range. There are a lot of things that kind of feed into this. But the main thing to understand is that out of position is not jamming here at all. And a lot of players in Melbourne Hold'em, when I'm coaching one-on-one in privates, what happens a lot is they end up jamming in these scenarios all the time. So they get to the river, they have the nuts, and they just slam it in. And it's a very common misplay. And again, we can look at tons of different variations with this. This is the fastest way to study rivers because we just start on the river, right? So if we go through a hand, we have to deal with pre-flop, flop, turn, and build the hand to the river. It's much faster to start with a hypothetical range on the river, which is all we really did, right? We just started with two hypothetical ranges. I kept it simple. It's aces through fours, just to be easy. But we could start with two whatever ranges on the river that we wanted. And again, if you want more of that, you can just go check out the River Simplifications bundle. Okay, so we see that there's 10% blocking, 30% blocking, 50%, and 100%. Most commonly bet hands are jacks and tens, not aces, kings, or queens. This is very counterintuitive for some people. Pocket fours is actually much higher frequency bet than pocket aces or kings. Again, something that's very counterintuitive for a lot of people. And now let's go ahead and do the same exercise for in position. Okay, so what bet size is chosen most often for in position? What bet size is never chosen for in position? And what value bets get bet the most, right? So you can pause the video, leave some comments. Let me know what you guys think. But the value bets that get bet the most often are going to be like aces, right? Because in position can't check back the nuts. So in position and out of position are very different. And when you think about it in this kind of very small way, you start to understand some very important differences, right? Out of position can check pocket aces because, of course, the opponent could bet and you could still check raise and get your stack in the middle. Or your opponent could just jam and then you can get the stack in the middle that way. But if you're in position and you have pocket aces and you check, obviously that's a disaster. So when in position bets, they're going to have a fully weighted pocket aces. When out of position bets, they won't. Okay, and so these are very important differences in how in position and out of position poker work that a lot of people overlook or just don't understand or don't appreciate. And this is, again, a very fast way to build understanding about all of this stuff. So out of position checks, we go ahead and evaluate in position. We see aces, kings, and queens fully bet. We see fours fully weighted. We see fives being added as a bluff. Bet sizing is bigger. So because the bet sizing is bigger, we have more bluffs per value bet. Again, I explain this kind of at detail on BBZPoker.com if you guys want to check some more of this out. But you can see that the in-position player is betting quite large. In-position is betting 2x pot or pot. There's really not a lot of this small betting in position. Certainly no 30% or 10%. And we can contrast that with out of position. So out of position was using 10%, 30%, 50%, and 100%. And in position is using 200% and 100%, okay? This is actually quite common. It's really common that in position bet sizing will be larger than out of position bet sizing. There are obviously exceptions, right? If we change the range construction, we can change everything around. But there's certainly a bias, and you can see that when we start on the river with two symmetrical ranges, two identical ranges, out of position is betting much smaller than in position. In position is betting much larger. In position is really almost incapable of betting small. Out of position is quite capable of betting small. In position, these small bet sizes, they introduce the risk of being check raised without much reward, right? And so they're just not worth it to in position. Of course, out of position isn't introducing any new risk of being check raised because if out of position checks, in position can already jam the whole stack in. So when out of position bets small, it doesn't introduce any new risks. When in position bets small, it does, right? Because it could just check back a hand like pocket tens or pocket nines and just realize the equity, right? It'll just check back and it'll beat the hands like 8, 7, 6s, and 5s that the out of position player was checking. So with full equity realization of pocket nines, tens, and jacks, it's really not worth the risk to bet really small with these thin value bets as the in position player and then take that check raising risk, right? So it's kind of like, look, is my hand really worth it or not? And as a result, kind of betting larger or checking. So this is just like a quick, introduction to some of the most common mistakes I think that beginner players make. Again, betting too small in position, betting too big out of position, not really considering the range construction. And if you're looking for something that really deals with this in depth and is much more elaborate, you guys can go ahead and check out the River Simplifications bundle on BBZPoker.com because there's a lot of these kind of river decisions where we analyze different constructions, different scenarios, and then also extrapolate back to real play with real hands where I show you, okay, like this is the exact same scenario. In this situation, these two ranges are very symmetrical. Okay, in this situation, the ranges are quite different. And I think that this is just a great way to do that. So thank you very much, guys. I appreciate it, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.